I've always wanted to have a second look at this very just amazing photograph right here. Now you're looking at Mars. I mean, you would look at this and think, what is that? The Middle East? Is that Arizona? You know, some type of satellite image of Earth. But no, this is actually Mars, the MRO, Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. And you'll notice the clarity gets better and better and better. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, I posted this video probably 2 or 3 years ago. I think 3 years ago. It's buried in, just an older Mars video of mine, and I wanted to go back and just give it another look. Do it a little better justice because, I think it's really that important. I'm gonna say it's probably one of the, if not the best Mars photos I've ever seen, and I don't know if many of you out there are familiar with this. Now, it's called the Atlantic, like the Atlantic Ocean Chaos. Atlantic Chaos is the name of the photo. Again, taken in 2010 and uploaded to the NASA archive, and then the state of Arizona, put it in their archive. And thank God for the state of Arizona, because they have just brought us some true gems, things that NASA tries to bury. Now, the first one I saw was kind of a really low quality, just SD, probably like 280p type style photograph, and then we found a better one, maybe like say 720, and then 1080, and of course now we have the high res from Arizona. And look at this. I mean, it looks like a city on Mars. And I went back and listened to my original video, and I was calling that little dome right there like something you would see in the Vatican, like a cathedral. I mean, it's incredible. And right there, that looks something like a lake or a dry lake bed, perhaps. I mean, it's just insane. So, like I said, I just wanted to come back to it and give it a second look. I mean, no need for fancy voiceovers or all the theatrics and whatnot, because I think this photograph stands on its own 2 feet. Now, what we're looking at here too, this is a gigapan, if you guys aren't familiar with that. It's almost like a 360 photo, and it's very hard to navigate. So when you're on the Arizona or the NASA website, and you barely touch your screen, it just kind of flies all over the place. So that that's why it's kind of rolling around like this, almost like a mouse would do, like your cursor. So it's really hard to control and record, and that's how I was able to make this video. Basically, this is me just kind of scrolling around, zooming in, looking at it, and then just simply recording my screen. And this is the end result, and I think it's pretty amazing. I mean, there's a little side-by-side right there. Again, this is Atlantic Chaos. This is the MRO 2010. Now, this orbiter rather, it's been up there for 19 years. So now, originally the MRO, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, it was supposed to be up there for 5 years. Okay, now why does NASA always do that? They'll send a rover, right, to the surface of Mars, and it's supposed to be there for 2 or 3, 4, maybe 4 or 5 years. They're like, well, how long has it been there? Oh, I don't know, about 39 years. I mean, it's crazy. So it's almost like they're building these, to last a lot longer than they're telling us. And maybe that's why these rovers are millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, so. But look at this, guys. I mean, incredible, absolutely amazing. I don't know why this hasn't been all over the news, and why NASA hasn't put out any type of explanation as to what this is. I mean, you see the right-hand turns, the 90s, the grid-like pattern, the cathedrals, the domes, the squares, it looks like roadways to me. I mean, it looks like an ancient civilization that you would see right here on Earth. I would call it like ancient ruins, but it looks like a city. It looks like a low-quality photo from like maybe the 40s, 50s, 70s, or something like that of Earth. And but again, this is actually Mars. I'll leave a link below. And there's about 3 or 4 different photos of this exact area. Now, The original photo, it's a rectangle, okay? And when you're looking at it, it's really hard to see this. You have to zoom in on the high-res photo, and it's basically like a little rectangular slice of the original photo. So you have to know where to look and how to look for it, and you have to be on the high-res because, you know, again, this is NASA just trying to hide it and bury it. But some of these, you know, they slip through the crack, just like the Apollo program or the 40 millimeter film that we've shown right here on Nocturnal News. Some of them they do. They just look, they slip through the cracks, and NASA loses track. Some guy at Arizona, guy, gal, girl, whatever, uploads them to the internet, and then they find their way to people like me. Okay, you know, I heard a few astronauts from the Apollo program. They said something really interesting. They said, you know, we didn't think 50 years ago, right, back in the late 60s, 69, you know, when they first landed on the moon, I think it was July 69, that, you know, people were going to have iPhones or basically like these mega computers in their pocket where they could zoom in and just, you know, put all of our work under a microscope. So again, you know, some of these just made it through the cracks, and now we have them. And I'm sure you guys remember, you know, the whistleblowers that claimed to work at NASA, you know, talking about how they would edit out, you know, anomalies and blur photos, and, you know, add all kinds of filters and blurring effect and whatnot, and literally just erase these anomalies. And I think this is one of them that they just, you know, like I said, it slipped through. Thank God. I mean, look at that. It looks like I said, right there to the right, that looks like a dry lake bed. You see the domes, you see the square patterns, grid-like patterns. You know, it looks something maybe like a little town like in Venice, right? Or something you would find in like Italy, like this beautiful little waterside town. You know, again, I guess a lot like Venice, or even like maybe like San Antonio, Texas, if you guys have ever been there. It looks almost just like that with all the, you know, little lakes and rivers and whatnot, the Guadalupe River. But, you know, look, I don't think this is just natural right there. That's one of the lower resolution photos right there. And that's the one that's, you know, easy to find. You just type in Atlantic Chaos on Google, and that one will pop up. Now, this is a photo of a different area, but nearby. And also, I would say the distance is probably 2.5 to 3 miles wide and about 3 miles long. So, very, very interesting.